Brilliant. Hello, and thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoyed day 2 of the ImagiNation Festival. I know I did. We got with us today 4 of our 6 writers. So first of all, we may have some slightly sketchy signal because we may have one of our writers up in the mountains talk about a quarantine getaway. So what we're going to do, just to start off, we're just going to go around, we're going to introduce ourselves, and then we're going to start the Q&A. So I will go ahead first. So my name is Tian Brown Sampson. So I didn't write any of the pieces, but I'm the festival producer, the very, very proud festival producer for ImagiNation Festival. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start off with one of the writers. I'm going to pass over to you, just say your name, which play you wrote, and then you can pass on to one of our other writers. Julie, I'm going to start with you.
Hello, I'm Julie Sang. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, okay, I can hear you now.
We also have Timberlake. Carry on, Julie.
So I'm Julie Sang. I wrote All Noise. Yeah, and I'll pass you on to Nessa.
Hi, I'm Nessa, and I wrote The Great Big Green Hand.
Brilliant. 2 left. Who are you going to go with?
A bit of wine, I think, would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Oh, and I think someone may have our thing on in the background. That may be me. Right, and Asif, can I pass over to you?
Hi, my name's Asif Khan, and I wrote the piece, A 3-Year-Old in Lockdown. It sounds a little bit funny, so I'm just trying to figure out what to do. I'm getting a bit of an echo on it, but
yeah,
I'll pass you over and then I'll find
the Q&A in the background. It may be a good idea to maybe pop that on mute or to even pause it.
So we can hear. Timberlake, all we're hearing from Timberlake is.
Yes. Sorry, Asif, would you like to go again?
Hi there. I'm Asif Khan, and I did the piece A 3-Year-Old in Lockdown, and worked with Theatre Centre and Theatre 503 on this wonderful project, and it's been delightful to see what people have done with the pieces.
Yeah, it has been absolutely wonderful. And then Timberlake, if you're still there, would you like to introduce yourself and your piece? Oh, we may have lost Timberlake, who is up in the mountains currently. Timberlake had our closing piece for. Oh,
hang on, you were mute. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Timberlake.
Anyway, I'm trying. Yeah. Hi, this is my name is Timberlake Wurtenbaker, and it was great fun being part of this, and I wrote Being Human.
Yes, brilliant, fantastic.
And I don't know if you can hear. I think I'm so far up in the mountains.
Yes, no worry, we can just about hear you. Right, so brilliant. First of all, I want to say congratulations to all of you writers and to everyone who participated, everyone that's in the chat with us. It was so great to watch everything back together, and I've seen all these clips, every single one of them so many times, and they just they don't get old. They're just so brilliant. So I'm just going to start off the first Q&A question with, so what brought you to the ImagiNation project or the festival? What made you want to get involved? I'm going to start with someone different. I'm going to put people on the spot. Nessa, would you like to say that one?
Yeah, sure. I guess actually now it feels like a world away when this project was first proposed, and we were in a totally different. It was probably quite early-ish into lockdown, I suppose.
Yeah, very.
And I think there was right back here, probably my children.
Family-friendly night.
And I'm a parent. I've got 2 young children, and I thought this was a brilliant project, but it really drew me in because I knew how hard it was to be trying to parent in lockdown, and I wanted to give something that parents could do with their children, even if the tiny bit. So that's what drew me, and I thought it was just something different than, in those days. It sounds so old, but it's you were allowed one walk, out of your house, which is insane now. And all the parks were taped off by the councils.
Yeah.
The parks. I think I was kind of mine was a kind of rallying call of solidarity to other parents, I suppose.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It is very strange because now that, I mean, it's September in just 2 days' time, and it feels like an absolute lifetime away from when we first started it. And just getting to watch all the pieces back and be reminded of just how different the world was, or how different at least Britain was, and like all just it's so strange, and like us kind of coming out of lockdown and kind of trying to get back to resuming normal life. And it's very odd to be also reminded of the situations we've either passed or are still in. Julie, what about you? What brought you to ImagiNation?
Hi. I think like Nessa, I've got kids as well, so it's all a bit chaotic at the start, and it was very early in lockdown. And I just the thought of creating a piece which would go out there and could be read and interpreted and played with by so many different people, so many walks of life, people that you normally write with a kind of character in your mind, and then who might play that part. So it was a real kind of opportunity to kind of explore that and write something that you hope would be would have something within it that people could maybe find relatable. And I just wanted to explore the kind of video element, because everyone was on it. Everyone was doing FaceTime and video calling or Zoom calling, and that was quite new to a lot of people. And I guess when you're doing that, and if you're leaving messages, video messages, maybe you can maybe open up a bit more, and you can maybe say a bit more to a member of family or a friend that you might have not would have done under normal face-to-face circumstances. So I just wanted to explore that. But it was a really exciting opportunity, I think, to kind of create something and then just kind of sit and wait and wonder like who's going to take it on, what's it going to be like. And it was really lovely to watch all of the pieces tonight, actually, and just see such a wealth of like different people taking on these roles. So that was actually excellent. I'm so glad I got involved, and it does feel like it's been lovely, because it feels like it's been ongoing for so long as well, which is wonderful.
Yeah, actually, another thing I just remembered that we missed out when we were doing introductions is we didn't mention where we are in the world. I mean, we know that Timberlake is in the mountains somewhere, but I think that would also be a good thing to go around and share where we are, because I know also different parts of the country's circumstances are quite different from one another. So for me, I'm up in North London. Nasa, where are you right now?
I'm in Wellington, which is South London.
London, Korea. And then Julie, whereabouts are you?
I'm in East Kilbride, which is just outside of Glasgow, in the middle of a big house flip right now. So like I'm stuck in like the smallest room, and I'm actually moving to London next week. Madness.
What a time.
Nothing like a move in a pandemic, just why not?
and Timberlake, so whereabouts exactly are you right now?
I'm in the Basque Mountains, which is in the Basque Country between, it's a place between France and Spain.
Oh, wow.
And on quite a remote, part of a chain of mountains. It's very beautiful here. It's where I grew up. So, but I've never been in this particular house before.
Oh, that sounds lovely. It's much better where I am.
But now I can't hear.
Oh, right. We'll see, keep like going on to see, just like must history if your signals is continuing to play up. And then Asif, so whereabouts are you? And then follow on with the question, what brought you to
I've lost you. I mean, I've lost the sound, I think.
Oh dear. Okay. Let's see if we can sort anything out. Do you want to carry on there, Asif?
Sorry, who are you talking
to? Asif.
Hi there. Yeah, so I'm in Kenley, South Croydon.
Everyone's well.
So what brought me to the project was like everyone said, it feels like a lifetime away when Steve from Theatre 503 got in touch and said she wanted to be part of it. And I thought at the time, I remember the worries about what's going to happen to theatre. I was actually 4 days away from opening a show at the Birmingham Rep. and then we
Oh wow.
went to lockdown. So yeah, I was worried what would happen to theatre, and so this project came along. And again, it was exciting to be part of this group of writers and to create a new piece and then put it out there and see who picks it up and see what they do with it. For me, so it was quite an exciting project to be part of.
Yeah, 100%. And then to finish off, at least finish off this particular question, Tim Blake, what brought you to ImagiNation?
Steve asked me if I wanted to do something, and when I saw what it was about, I thought it was just a wonderful thing to do, something that could be really played by anyone. I love the idea of throwing something open to people, and the fact that anybody could really, I just wanted a lot of different people to be playing something, and it was at a time, it was right at the beginning of lockdown, as we all remember, and I just remember feeling very wary of humans, and you know, just thinking it would be great to do something which didn't involve human beings in it, and that this was a perfect opportunity to
Oh, you still there, Tim Blake? Oh, there we are.
That possibility. But I mean, what really attracted me was one, that it was a lovely group of writers, and two, that and again, yeah, I'm still here, but I've lost your sound. I can't.
That's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think what brought you to ImagiNation?
We're asking what brought you to ImagiNation. You said
I don't know what you heard. Yeah.
That's okay. I may move on to like following on actually what you were saying about
who were they asking?
Oh, I'm going to open this up to everyone. So we're going on from what you were saying, Tim Blake, about being asked and approached to do ImagiNation, and that this is supposed to be, whenever we talk about it, we talk about it as being like a gift for the nation. How was it for you guys to being given like almost like a brief that if a piece you're going to bring forward, it has to be for anyone or everyone, whether they're actors or ordinary people, children, families? What was that like for all of you, and how did that influence what you chose to go with for your play? Who would like to take this one? I will just pick on someone. Go on, Asif.
So for me, I wasn't thinking about that when I first got asked to do the project. First was how do I feel, and what do I want to present in terms of what's going on with my life. And at that time, I was being the full-time parent to my 3-year-old. My wife's a doctor, so she was going out to work. And so I was spending long days at home with my 3-year-old. And for the first time in a long time, because it was, you know, I work in theatre, so there was no work. So I was at home. And there was various things that we were doing, and so he wasn't allowed to see his cousins, and wasn't allowed to go to soft play, and also at that young age, I was worried at the time about affecting his confidence. So I didn't want to scare him about, oh, we can't go out on the street, you can't meet someone, you can't, if someone's approaching you, you have to run to the other side of the pavement, you know, all those things. I just was worried about all those, how it might affect him and his confidence, because he's just exploring the world for the first time, and I didn't want to affect his confidence. So I was wondering a lot about what might be going on through his head, with all the hand gels and all the hand washing and the mask wearing, and and he's probably wondering why is mummy and daddy always constantly doing this, and why do we always have to put hand gel on, and why have I not been to a playground in such a long time? So that's what got me thinking about my idea. I thought it'd be really interesting to sort of go and just sort of guess what might be going on through his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know of any way of how he understands the world of what's going on right now?
No, I'm actually 2 days ago I went to an empty playground for the first time, and he was a bit shy about going in. He said he was looking back and asking me, "Is it okay? Can I go in? Can I play?" Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he's just got used to us wearing masks when we go to in shops, and because it's only him and he's around adults. I think and he has not been at nursery as well or preschool for months now. So we were worried about his social kind of development with other kids. So I mean, I'm desperate for him to have interaction with other children and people, kids his age. I think he's been jolly at home. He's developed loads at home, and his speech has come on really well, and he's always joyful at home. But it's just the outside world, which was we had to. It was this unknown thing that was outside. It was quite dangerous, and we didn't know how to navigate that.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are so many other parents that feel very similar ways of dealing with young children. It's so strange also, I think ahead, and years from now when they're older, they're probably also, with them being 3, may not even remember this time at all. And we'll all talk about it with them, and they're probably going to have very little memory of this time, but it's such a central time also in their development and their experiences. And then actually for Julie and Nacy, because you're both parents as well, aren't you? What about for you? I have to remember what my original question was about. I'm not even sure. I mean, what brought you to talk about the specific topic of the theme of your plays?
I kind of went for, I became a carer for my dad very early on lockdown, because the sheltered housing he was in, the care system kind of shut down. It didn't completely shut down, but they were really short staffed, and they'd phoned around to see if there was any family members that would be able to take in their parents and just to help out. And so I said I would do that. And then all of a sudden I was at home with my youngest daughter and my husband, and we were both working, and then my dad was here. So it was just madness. And my son was here as well. So it was just so busy. It went from being a relatively household where everybody's out at school or work, and then you're back at tea time and it's kind of noisy, and then everyone goes to bed, and all of a sudden it was just every day, constant, everyone together. And there was a real beautiful thing about that. We all sat down and had food together and ate together and talked together and had a lovely time, quality time spending together. But also it was just utter chaos at times, and I don't have a utility room, but if I did, I would have locked myself in it. And I guess that's where the inspiration came from, that. And it just kind of, I guess what I wanted to do was write something that would be open to as many people as possible that could relate to it. But also I just wanted to be quite specific with my mixed heritage, so that could be something that was picked up as well. And also in a way I had to write it so that anyone of any ethnicity could maybe pick it up and tweak it, just so that it was really open to as many people as possible. So I guess that was quite tricky, just kind of managing that and how I would write that. I tended not to think about how many people or who that person would be. I just tried to make it as open and as universal, I suppose, as possible. But I did kind of have that because I was going through it at the same time. And I always find if you're going through something that's a bit, full on and you're writing, it's going to come through in your writing. So it just made sense to write something that was pretty reflective of what I was going through at the time.
Yeah, and actually I remember over the last week or two, I was actually speaking to someone who actually had done all noise. And so she's a performer herself, and actually had to travel back to take care of her parents, and had to be carers for them for like since the beginning of lockdown, and has only just had a bit of time for herself and got involved. And the piece had, because they they also have struggling with dementia, or one of their parents is struggling with dementia. And she was saying that she, even just trying, even being used to working in the arts and being an actor, just struggling to find time for herself to fit it in and learn a script, and how much it really spoke to her because of that was her lived experiences. And I've heard from like about at least 2 other people with that being their lived experiences. And I guess that's the whole point of why we do theatre and why we do this project in specific, is because we're speaking really true to people's lives. And it's really nice for us to, even when we're kind of locked inside our utility cupboards like by ourselves, we still have like a sense of community, and then we have like other people to connect to, and that's a really beautiful thing as well. So like lovely for that. And then Nasa, I remembered what the question was. I was talking about it being ImagiNation being a gift for everyone and trying to write a piece for everyone. What does that really mean for you?
Yeah, that's a huge that's such a huge ask, I think. And actually I think I probably did the opposite. Was like, actually I'm gonna, although the parts were completely open in a similar way to Julie, like completely non-binary, or non-race specific or anything like that. I guess there was a universal truth in the parental aspect of it for me, and that's what so as well as sort of wanting to offer something that was maybe a bit of comfort to children, but also a little bit of comfort to parents as well, because I didn't know what to say to my daughter. I was scared myself, I still am, and like it's that balance between validating a child's emotions, which is what you're very much encouraged to do, but also not terrifying them in the way that you're terrified. We actually, myself and my husband had been very unwell the week before lockdown, and we didn't know if we had COVID or what, and but we'd followed the government guidelines and isolated. I think it was for 7 days at that time, and we said to her, we were out of our period, and we said, we want to go for a walk to the park. She was 3 at the time, she's 4 now. And she said, but we can't go outside because there's coronavirus everywhere. And that was quite a stark moment for me. I was like, how confused, she is, and then therefore how confused I am, and therefore she is. And it sort of cropped up a lot later. We were playing another day. We were playing I Spy, and I said something beginning with C, and she went coronavirus. So I think what I wanted to do with all of that is offer this. There is no answer. The truth in validating children's emotions in this time is saying nobody really knows. But there are pockets of joy. There's some kind of hope that we can find within this moment, and I guess I was quite inspired by I don't know if you've ever seen, it's a very old film now, but Finding Neverland.
Yes.
And how that leaps between, and it works extremely well on film, where it leaps between J.M. Barrie's imaginative mind and the kind of in Captain Hook's ship or whatever, and then is sort of back in reality. And I kind of wanted to swirl between those, and again, it's super kind of hyper fantastical, I think. So I hope that would open up the piece as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually just had a question coming from Twitter. So all of for the writers that we got here, all of your pieces included children in some aspect. How do you think the pandemic will affect this generation of children? Who wants to take that one? Who wants to start?
I'll go.
Go for it.
Well, I mean, like I said before, I didn't want to tell my 3-year-old anything about it, just because I thought he was too young. I didn't want to affect his confidence. If he was older, I would try to explain it in a basic way. But I just thought there's so many things around the world that he's probably already worried about, stepping out into the world. I just thought I do not want him to know about this. So I just thought, get on with life as normal. But during lockdown, I have started writing a diary of what's been going on during lockdown, and I've put quite a lot in there about lockdown. So I plan to give him that when he's about 18, maybe.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a brilliant idea. I love that. What are your thoughts, Julie and Nasa? Who wants to go? Go for it, Julie.
Oh, okay. I was just trying to unmute myself. I have no idea how it's going to impact children. I would hope that now that they're in Scotland, they're back at school. My daughter's not at school because she's starting the English term next week. So by the time that they're back in school and they're together with their friends and there's some kind of normality for them, I just hope. I don't know. I just hope because it all happened to everyone at the one time. I just hope that we can just build on that and that the connections come back and that they kind of come away from it unscathed. I mean, that's me being really optimistic and hopeful. But I think it's important to talk to children about it. I also worked as a drama teacher last year, and I was thinking a lot about the kids that I used to teach and the especially what was going on with exams and the horrendous things that was going on with examinations this year. If 2020 wasn't bad enough, I don't know. I'd like to be optimistic and think that we talk more. Although people say this generation now or what's happening now is not as good as the old days. I'm completely against that. I think what's happening now is we talk more. We have forums now where we can go into Twitter or whatever social media and we can open up and we can be ourselves and we can find truths and we can find things to help us and guide us. And I just hope that that is always going to be in place for children and that we continue to just talk about it and it happened to everyone and share our stories. And I guess that's why Peter is so important, isn't it? Because it's sharing those stories, those relatable stories that everyone can connect to, and that's why it's so important that it happens.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely, fully agree. Nasa?
And I guess I do think that it will have like a seismic impact on the generation in some shape or form, and I often look at things through the lens of class, working class background, and I think even via the exams situation that young people from poorer backgrounds will be disproportionately badly affected by this. So I always implore whoever I'm working with or talking to kind of push that at the top of their agendas, I suppose, and really kind of interrogate how they might help or support somebody from a socially poorer background. But I think also, I know we're not necessarily here to talk about that, but I think that you can't also deny about this, it's such a seismic year, is the Black Lives Matter movement, and I think that, again, that obviously I am not Black, I'm mixed race, but that had a impact on our family, on my children and their understanding of the world and what we were, to what we were reading and who I was putting in front of them. And I think it had a change for the better, an impact for the better. And there's been a change for the better within our very, our smaller nuclear unit. So I think we have, obviously they are completely different, but the fact it happened, so goes. There's a very good friend of mine, Matthew Zier, who has this sort of amazing thing where he said it's like we all got locked in our bedrooms over COVID, and then our mums or whoever came up the stairs and went, and all of that appalling, disgusting racism that's been going on for centuries, and then slammed the door again and didn't let us, so I think obviously that's like a bit tongue in cheek, but I think that these two things are generation redefining, I hope, for the better, and also if something like this ever happens again, that it won't be people from poorer backgrounds that are kind of in the worst situations of us all. So yeah, I do think, and I think we I think we need to be prepared for we were already in the midst of a mental health crisis. So I think we need to be well prepared for what might come. And, I think it's not a case of waiting for it to manifest. And like Julie said, there's so much, people talk so much more now, so that there's a way, for us to explore that safely with young people.
Absolutely. I'm going to merge like two questions together, like following what you all were saying. I think following on from this time that we're in, this time period we're in, there's been just so many courses of events that have happened that are almost just going to be redefining our future of like, not even just within the theatre industry, but just like within our individual communities and societies, like for like taking, for example, Black Lives Matter. And I'm just wanted to touch on for you all what the importance is for stories, particularly when we're talking about children of color or children from underrepresented backgrounds, and also just about the importance in general of theatre when we're talking about children and families and parents and schools and the impact that that can have. That was a very big question. Feel free anyone to jump in.
Hi, I'll jump in quickly. I think for young people, it's important that they see themselves represented on stage or on screen. It's so important. Being mixed heritage, you maybe see certain ethnicities portrayed, and when they're portrayed in a particular way that is appropriated as what that culture is. And I think that is not what Britain is like today. And I think we should be seeing more children of mixed heritage and what it feels for them to be British mixed heritage and what that's like and what their lived experience of that is like. And I don't think there is enough out there representing that. So that for me, I would just love to see more of that. I would love to see more of that. I'd love to see more of that and I'm going to try and do that in my work. I would love to see that more on the screens and on the stage, because I think that is, and I want to give them a voice, and I don't know if that means going into schools and doing workshops and I don't know, opening more opportunities for young people to actually get their voices out there and see what they want to see, because that's who it's for. So yeah, that's my bit. I don't even know if I answered the question right. Was that the question? No, yeah. Went off one there.
Nasa, Asif?
Yeah. So again, like just going on what Julie said, you can never underestimate how important representation is. And growing up on TV around me, there was no people of color who I could look to and go, this is a role model, or I can aim to be this person, or this person is from my background and I can aspire to be like them. And the kind of the messages you get, and it's not until I was an adult that I realized this, but the messages throughout my childhood were being brown is not good, it's not attractive, and being white is the thing to be. And I do not want my child to experience that. I don't want them to be ashamed of being Asian or being brown. And so even over the last year and a half, I've really got into writing for young people. And there was a project which really made me think about the question, what play would I take my little 3-year-old when he gets to, say, 5? His first experience of theatre, what would that be? And I thought, I'm going to try and write that play. So they go, oh, that's someone who looks like me there, and open a book or see. I mean, there's plenty. I watch a lot of kids programs because I'm with him, and that's getting better. You're seeing diversity in kids TV as well, but it's so important because we just don't want anybody who's from Black, Asian, minority background to think that they're any less or any less British, and that's very important to me.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think it's so vital for just like all of the generations to be able to see themselves. And I remember just because yesterday we had Chadwick Boseman from Black Panther had like passed away, and that had a massive effect. And my heart broke when I thought of all the children that I think of that look up to these characters, that say they look like me, and like that means something. And having stories told by people that are us, that are from different communities, rather than being our narratives being dictated by somewhere else, and that we have them control and we can share that with each other, and like our stories have value, and that we have a place, and that we have a sense of in like this British society is so important, and it's so heartwarming that we even just have like you three writers as an example of like writing the content that you write for like families to be engaging with is so powerful and is so striking and is so inviting. I know that's been so welcomed by parents at schools who have like gotten back to us to say that they've gotten involved because it is really powerful. That's my piece. Nasa, what are your thoughts?
So it was just about how important stories are. Was that your question?
Oh,
yeah. Because I was just so blown away by, sorry, that's my dog now. By what Asif and Julie said. I couldn't, 100% echo all of that. I am that kid. I grew up watching white people and I was brought up by the white side of my family, so sort of have a very complicated relationship to race anyway, but to only see white characters on stage or screen, not even stage really, on screen, because I wasn't taken to the theatre. Really, and also I think it's important for other, for white people to see people of color in roles that that aren't stereotypes, that are challenging and interesting and complex and vibrant. And my daughter, she just doesn't look anything like me. She's blonde, blue-eyed, and super pale, and I think it's so so she will, I mean, I don't want to put anything on her, but I assume she will have an element of white privilege to her her identity that I never had. So for me, there was a sort of wake up call moment post the Black Lives Matter movement, that I have to put characters in front of her that don't look like her, and what is it that I take her to the theatre? I think the first piece I did take her to actually was my own piece, which sounds super arrogant, but it was a mixed race. It was a mixed race daughter and a white mother, and that was so important for me growing up. You never ever saw that, and that was my mom is white. Sorry, I'm talking these like really clear like basic terms, but it's true, and I never saw that as a family. I never. People at school would say, "Oh, you must be adopted," or whatever. So I think representation is so huge, and diversity of representation. And I think we all know the power of story is immeasurable, and the value that is behind it. And I think it's the things that you don't, that you can't quantify, that doesn't fulfill any kind of funding bid or anything. Those things that I've watched that no one will ever know has impacted me in a certain way. And I think that's the kind of reason that I do it sometimes. I don't need to know what it's had. I just have a hope that it might have had that for somebody. But yeah, I think representation and diversity in every sense, and not just who's on. It's also, I look now at the credits at the end of shows,
Yes.
and not just adult shows, but sorry, now I keep talking about screens because I've watched probably similar to Asif, I've never watched so much children's content in my life. But yeah, who's making those shows, like you said, as well, like who's telling those stories, and who has the authenticity to tell that story, and has it been edited in a way that doesn't feel authentic. So the thing I would urge everyone to watch if they're interested in this is the latest McTaggart lecture, which was part of the Edinburgh TV Festival, because that was absolutely phenomenal, and really interrogates, obviously it's more about TV, but it interrogates what needs to change, basically.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So I'm just seeing that we're very close to coming to the end of this Q&A session. So we've had another question from an audience member. So this is more on you guys as writers, about how you found this lockdown period, and do you think that your writing styles have changed or developed in any way, and in what particular ways? All nodding like, good question.
I think for me, it was the first thing I was thinking about is the format, because we don't know what's happening with theatre. So how can you tell a story that would normally be for the stage in another way? And this project obviously was a great example. But then there's been a couple of things that I've worked on where they've said, could you put down, just in case, because we don't know what the landscape's going to look like in a few months, if we can't put this on the stage, how might you be able to tell this story? And so I've been thinking about those things. I don't think my writing style has changed, but it's possibly I've possibly become a bit more imaginative and thinking outside the kind of naturalism a bit more and into more magical, supernatural kind of things.
Lovely. I really like that already. And final two. Go on, Scott. Go on.
I don't know if similarly to us, if I've been thinking about kind of supernatural and mythical and kind of surrealism a little bit, but I've kind of always done that, but maybe touch on it a bit now because maybe we all just need to escape just now. I haven't been doing a lot of writing. I've been doing a lot of watching when I have the mental energy to take in all the online stuff. It's brilliant that it's there, but it can take quite a lot out of you. So I'm just slowly kind of catching up. I've been doing a lot of radio plays because you can kind of listen to them and do other things about the house, especially if you have kids. So I've been doing a lot of listening and taking on board what's going on in the world, reading a lot, and I'm hoping that all comes together. And then I'm maybe start writing soon. I'm also moving house, so I guess that's why I'm just like, everything's just
Don't put too much pressure on yourself.
I've got too much going on. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. And then finish off, Nasa.
I guess something that I've been thinking about is like, are the characters that I'm writing for, are they aware that, are they COVID conscious? Which sounds like a horrible phrase. But yeah, and like, what does that mean? And how does that not affect the story? You know, if something partly steeped in naturalism, is it a lie to say that this hasn't gone on? How much do you reference it? And so that's a very small thing. I think I've also I found it hard to write just because I'm literally, as you can tell, I'm in my daughter's bedroom. There's no that I used to be very, very, very lucky and be able to go to my local library, but at the moment they don't have the study spaces open, so it's just sort of like navigating writing with the hubbub of what's going on down. My husband's there. I haven't left them on their own, don't worry. Like, wondering what on earth's going on down there when, you know, when one of them's turning on the cooker and the other one's you know, about to jump off the roof or something. No, it's not that bad. I must write this play, stop it. No, so that, you know, and sort of like what are they kind of subconsciously putting in my brain anyway? But and also I think people are still doing it, but there was a real influx of sort of like lockdown monologues or lockdown work, which is another thing. Going back to the first question, this project really attracted me to. You didn't have to, you know, subscribe to that. And I think I was quite resistant to the idea of writing about lockdown, although I did do it in the end, but towards the end. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting period, you know, and I think whatever it is, you really have to honor like what it is. So I always accepted that this other monologue that I wrote would be a relic of its time. You know, it's a piece of that moment. It's not something that can translate into the other, you know, whatever the hopefully post-lockdown, post-COVID world might be. So yeah, there's sort of, and then I'm also working on a soap opera at the moment as well. So that
busy.
Yeah, that has different like implications, you know, in terms of literally who you can have on certain sets and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it'll be like in a year's time I'll be able to look back at the work I wrote before and the work after and be able to answer that with a more informed view.
All right, brilliant. Absolutely. Thank you so much for all of your times. I lied before. I've actually got one more last question just to finish off. As we said, we've had so many people involved in in your pieces alone combined, and then as well as for ImagiNation. And I'm sure that you've already seen your clip, your film, seen each other's, and we've got a playlist up now that has absolutely everyone's who has submitted. So I do implore you to go have a watch. As I said before, we've just had so many people that have got involved: children's families, schools, youth groups, care homes, everyone that's just found it so useful. What message would you send them, or like even specifically more to the children of the next generation going forward out of this time?
Hi, I'll give them a quick message, which would be never be scared to play. I think you should always find time to play, even if it's nonsense or heartwarming or thought-provoking, always play.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Couldn't agree more. Who else would go next? It was a bit of a tricky one to put you guys on the spot.
I just want to say thank you to everyone, because I was so blown away when I got the figure back of how many people have submitted for this project. Yeah, and just gave it a go and had fun, and the fact that it gave them something fun to do and get together and even do it over Zoom or do something creative during this period. And obviously, as a writer, if you see someone taking your words and using them and bringing some life to them and enjoying them, there's the feeling you get back as a writer is amazing. So that personal feeling, obviously, for those who explored my piece, but I was totally blown away by the number of people who just got involved, and just even non-actors, non-theatre people. So thank you so much.
Oh,
brilliant. Thank you so much, Asif. And then Nasa, last but not least.
Oh gosh, it's such a hard question.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, I'd say yeah, thank you. Similar, huge thank you. And I guess it would be like if you feel worried, if you feel scared, then talk to somebody, like Julie said earlier, like there will be someone, hopefully, that you can say, and it's okay to feel like that, because everyone feels like that, I think, in some shape or form. Yeah, and thank you for taking part.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Asif, Julie, and Nasa, and Timberlake as well for joining us for our Writers Q&A. For the end of day 2, we are officially finished for our second day of the festival. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for our very final day. We will be back with 7 more pieces. We'll finish off with the Writers Q&A at the end. Thank you to all of our writers who have written pieces for the nation. Thank you to all the participants who have submitted. And just get watching everyone's videos. They are an absolute joy. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. Snaps to you all, and send you much love on your bank holiday Sunday.